What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Robert Joshua. Robert Joshua has said that he would like his son to be a bit smarter, surround himself around people that care, around people that don't want to use him, surround himself around people that has his best interest at heart. You know, we know that Robert Joshua erupted at Eddie Hearn. And of course, Eddie Hearn has made a statement saying that all the rumors was absolute bollocks, right? Nonsense. Anthony Joshua's co-signed to this, but Robert Joshua has not. He didn't like the way that things happen in camp. He was alluded to problems in sparring. The Waco situation, raised a lot of eyebrows that he was hurt or knocked down or had got a concussion in sparring. And one thing I got to counterpunch about this is he said he had a tough sparring camp. He said that in one of his interviews, Anthony Joshua. He said, hey, I had a lion of a camp. Then, Jason DeWaco, he said, oh, he's a beast. He's a tank, and he was co-signing that he was a tough dude. One thing I need to point out is if Anthony Joshua didn't get knocked down, if Anthony Joshua didn't get knocked out, that does not mean he did not get a concussion. Okay. Timothy Bradley wasn't knocked out in the Ruslan Pravandikov fight. He was knocked down, but he wasn't knocked out, people. You can get a concussion without getting knocked down or knocked out. Okay. So those type of things happen in the sport of boxing. So if he had a tough fight or a tough sparring camp and later on said, oh, nobody does that to me in sparring, and no one asked him if no one did that to him in sparring, it's led to believe that he had a tough training camp. It's almost as though it's like cops pick you up and they're asking you about one thing and you're like, well, I didn't kill my cousin. We never said you killed your cousin. Hey, Frank, let me see you outside the office. That type of stuff. But back to Anthony Joshua's father, Robert Joshua. He wants him to take his career in his own hands, or rather, get with people that care. So that's i.e. Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, Rob McCracken, because those are the people around him. Those are the people that Robert Joshua feels that's only there for a free ride, that's only there for a meal ticket. We know that it's people surrounding Anthony Joshua that are millionaires, okay? He has financed all this. But, also, Anthony Joshua's made a lot of money, too. So we can't just look at it saying, okay, well, these guys have free rides. Well, Anthony Joshua made that possible, though, okay, with the accomplishments in this master quick start career that he's had in 6 years. And he's done a lot. I did a video yesterday about the dangers of pushing a fighter too much and too far, too quick, too soon. This seems like a situation where if you're putting a fighter back in the ring with the same guy that was able to get to him, and a lot of people are against it, and Joshua's not against it. But then maybe Robert Joshua's right. Maybe he does need to surround himself with different people. But then again, we don't really know how Joshua really feels. Of course, he's a fighter. He says he's a soldier, so he wants to get back in there. But Robert Joshua thinks he needs to make a change. He needs to get more people, different people, because a lot of things that he's seen, he didn't like, and these are the words from Robert Joshua. A lot of people like, oh, well, He was just upset that his son lost. Well, there's been evidence, okay, physical evidence that Joshua had scarring, black eyes, and then now they're saying he didn't even have a black eye. You know, Eddie Hearn said, oh, he didn't have a black eye at all. Dude, we've seen Radio Raheem's interview where he had a black eye. He had all types of abrasions and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with just telling the truth. You know, and a lot of people are looking for excuses after the loss. These aren't excuses when they're not coming from the champ. They didn't come from Anthony Joshua or the former champ. It did not come from Anthony Joshua. It came from people outside of Anthony Joshua. And like I've told people, Anthony Joshua is too proud of a person to use an excuse. That's why my hat goes off to him. He's not the one saying this, that, and the other. It's his father, and it's not even his trainer. Everyone else is siding with him. You know, the sparring partners. I know that those guys can't really say too much because they're already, you know, signed a non-disclosure, so they can't say really what happened in sparring. That happens in a lot of training camps, especially on an elite level like this. So whatever happens in sparring stays in sparring, you know. But Robert Joshua, he feels his son just needs to get different people that guides him now. He needs to make a change, you know. And Robert Joshua is entitled to his own opinion, but here's the deal. This is my question to everybody. Who knows better than their father? You know, he knows his son. He knows something wasn't right. He wanted this fight postponed because of the things that happened. This was before the fight. A lot of people argue that this was in the third round. This wasn't before the third round. This was before the fight in the dressing room. And Eddie Hearn responded, he'll be fine once he gets into the ring, people. So that's not the same thing as the third round. 'Cause a lot of people said, oh, he wanted to stop at the third round. Well, I bet he did. But that didn't stop him from saying it before it ever happened. If you knew and you have a feeling that your son or your child, okay, you know something's not right with him, and you say, hey, I don't like this, pull the plug, right? And someone else says, hey, he'll be fine. You know what I mean? I don't know even if Joshua even responded or had a response to that. Okay, all that is unclear. But Eddie Hearn responded, he'll be fine. And then you see in the third round, he clearly wasn't fine because he got hit with punches that added insult to injury. So, yeah, you're going to, of course, say that again because you know, okay, something ain't right about my son. You know, they're worried about health. They're not worried about the belts. They're not worried about the legacy. Sure, they don't want their son to lose, but they're more concerned with his health rather than him losing or not, if that makes sense. So that's what Robert Joshua was saying. He needs to find better people to guide him. And it's real surprising, man, that we have one side saying, hey, nothing happened versus the other side, versus Robert Joshua saying, hey, something was wrong. You know, on top of we having the visual evidence that Anthony Joshua was beat up or got roughed up in sparring to the degree, you know. So it's a toss-up. So anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Robert Joshua's statement or statements. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.